that will never get old. It will never get old. It never get old. But good people, great people, God's people. How y'all doing? I appreciate y'all for joining me for another episode of The Antidote. And y'all know me, man. Whenever I have folks on to the podcast, I am not the one who is the big introducer. I'm not the person who does this is the person. Like, no, man. I am the podcaster that allows the person to introduce themselves. The reason being is because I firmly believe, y'all. I firmly believe that people are better at introducing themselves than I am at introducing them. So here I have with me Miss GiGi LeFlaire, and GiGi LeFlaire is a flair of her own. She is a person of amazing comedy. She is a person of Southern charm. She's a person of multiple stylistics, but that's all I got. Miss GiGi, please introduce yourself, who it is that you are, what it is that you do.
Okay. As stated, my name is GiGi LeFlaire. I am one of the Carolinas comedians, and I am a comedian and entertainer. I'm a podcaster myself. I have a podcast called 2Gs and a Podcast. I am a content creator, all-around entertainer. That's all I got. Nothing too spectacular.
All right. So, entertainer, podcaster. Tell us where you're from.
So I am from South Carolina. I'm from a small town called Woodruff, South Carolina.
Okay. So how was it growing up in a small town?
So I had a great time growing up in a small town. I will say the town that I came from, it's very small. It was like 4 stoplights growing up. Now they've moved all the way up to 6 or 7 stoplights. I grew up with mostly family, cousins. You know, I have brothers, but I didn't have any sisters or anything. So most of my life revolved around cousins. 11,000 cousins all the time.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my life. The stereotypical country living, 50 kids outside drinking out the hose pipe, and you're outside all day long, sun up to sundown, and you're just figuring it out. It's literally adventure time as a kid. No maps, nothing. Just imagination, change in your pocket.
In the world. I love it. And it's actually crazy because, so I went to school in Alabama, right? Shout out the Hornets, shout out Alabama State University, right? I went to school in Alabama. And when people used to say, oh, my town only got 1 stoplight, I'm like, bro, you exaggerating, you lying. Until I went to Uniontown, Alabama. Went to Uniontown, and I swear to God, Uniontown only had like 5 stoplights. And I was like, okay, y'all weren't capping. Y'all were not capping. And it's very interesting to see like the difference between larger cities and smaller towns, how it is that environment is more family oriented. Like everybody really knows everybody. And it's not like, oh, I know of this person. Like, no, they be all up in your business and on your front porch type shit. You know what I'm saying? So
right, the community, they got legacy gossip about you.
Mm-hmm.
They got generational gossip about
generational gossip. Is crazy.
Right. She ain't hitting on nothing because her mama wasn't hitting on nothing and her grandma wasn't hitting on nothing. They got generational gossip about you. They know you're gonna be
that you come from a family that do nothing. That's wild.
Right. Generational gossip, baby. And it's tried and true.
That's the thing. But once again, you're not lying. Right?
Yeah.
Because what I've learned about the difference between the North and the South mostly. So once again, I'm from Chicago, right? And Chicago is one of them like little big cities where everybody know everybody and everybody cousin. But that's because of the Great Migration. Like most of the folks in Chicago came from Mississippi, right? And within that Great Migration, Black folks tended to stay with and around one another. Right. So even in Chicago, like, bro, the 5 degrees of separation is real. It is so real. Like you will meet one person who know 5 people that you know, and it's like, bro, how, like, we not even from the same part of the city. Like, how do you that I know? Like, it don't take long. It does not take long.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't.
There's something that I've noticed is really, it transcends, and it has traveled with Black folks throughout the Great Migration and from the Great Migration. So I've always found that to be a very intriguing social dynamic. And go ahead.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I completely agree. I don't think that sometimes we as people put enough stock into how closely we are still connected, even though we're thousands of miles apart. Mm-hmm. As far as in the Black diaspora, like, we're very connected in the way we still do a lot of the things the very same way as people before, even though time has passed. Like, customs are customs. You stick to what you know.
That's facts. That's facts. I agree 1,000%. So, Ms. Gigi, you said that you are an entertainer. How do you entertain folks? What do you do?
So I am a content creator. I don't dig too big into the term social media influencer, because I feel like everybody is an influencer once you are outside of someone else other than yourself. You always have influence on somebody, whether they accept it or not. But I'm a content creator, comedian, podcaster, mom, wife. But my biggest thing right now, outside of my being a mom and a wife, is me making my way in comedy. Okay. That's something I'm extremely proud of, and it's something that I hold near and dear to me, because I'm carving my own path. I'm carving my own path. Sometimes people can give you a blueprint, but it doesn't necessarily work for you at that time. Mm-hmm. So you got to just use their blueprint as a guide, and then still kind of just find your own way.
Okay. I'll definitely.
Just because somebody can give you all the tools you need, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. You can't make it work. Somebody can give you all the guidance ever. If your heart not there, your heart not there. My heart was in comedy, and I think that's why I didn't fit in anything else.
Okay.
I think that was a way of making me uncomfortable so I can go and find my purpose. Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable so you can be where you're supposed to be. Because if I didn't make you uncomfortable, you'd have stayed there forever.
This is facts. I believe that 100%. So tell me a little bit more about your journey through comedy, like what got you started, and especially as a comedian, right? What blueprint were you given, and how did you deviate from that blueprint?
So I was born in the 80s. So that means I came up in the 90s and the 2000s. That means I grew up watching Comedy View. I grew up watching Def Comedy Jam. Like, I grew up watching those things. I think that we were in a particular era, and I was in a particular era in my life that we got to see comedians be on TV. When you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, it wasn't how at one point in time you had to go to the comedy club just to see a comedian. The 90s kind of changed it to where now this comedian was on your TV. This comedian was in the movies. This comedian was on the radio. Like, they were everywhere. Instead of you having to just go to them, they were almost in your life now, because they had so many different media outlets now, as opposed to, times before you had to make an effort to go see a comedian. Now they were literally in your living room. Seeing other comedians, particularly female comedians, on Comic View, and Cheryl Underwood was a huge inspiration for me to be a comedian. Like, kid you
really
not.
Quick, hold on. Do you know, like what I just said? It don't take long for them 5 degrees separation. Cheryl Underwood is my cousin.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, she's my grandfather's niece.
she was a huge inspiration for me to do comedy. Cheryl Underwood and some more. Because Cheryl Underwood more so because she was Southern. She was country. Like, you can be, and this is something that I like to highlight. You can be Southern and not be country. You can be country and not be Southern. Cheryl Underwood was country and Southern and educated, and she dressed nice, and she had pocketbooks, and she was funny, and like that meant something to me, because a lot of the times when they show you a female comedian, either they show you the girl that she's funny because you're making fun of her, or she's funny because she's making fun of herself. Like, she's the butt of the jokes. But Cheryl was different because she wasn't the butt of the jokes. She made the jokes, and her fashions was a big deal. Like, she was well-rounded. She wasn't making fun of herself. She had the good clothes. She had the cute pocketbooks. She was educated, and she stood in being proud of her being from a hole in the wild town. That was a big deal to me, because that resonated with me. I wanted comedy was something for me because it was more of a defense mechanism. Like most comedians, we all have one of three stories. It was either a trauma response, you were bullied, or whatever. So comedy for me, it was a direct correlation to, listen, I can't fight, and y'all not finna roast me, so I'm finna eat y'all ass up with these jokes. That's what it's gonna be. I'm gonna eat y'all up with these jokes, because I knew that that's where I could get you. That's where I could get you. Now, you got all these jokes about, yada, yada, yada. Oh, what are those? But see, I got jokes too. And my jokes are witty, because I'm gonna make you feel dumb in the middle of this joke. Let's do this. Let's go. That's how comedy started for me. Second grade.
Okay, and actually, I think it's very interesting, because when you break it down that way, so Smokey Robinson's Tears of a Clown, you got to laugh to keep from crying, all of these different things, especially within the Black community, there's very much so this idea that, we can utilize particular aspects of ourselves that at first, or at one point in time of our lives, were used to defend ourselves against attack. But then over time, we learned how to continue to use them, and they became our gifts. Right. So I think that's a very intriguing story, because once again, like the way that you just broke it down, like I realized that, but hearing somebody else say it is like, okay, I recognize that, yes, a lot of times it's either a trauma response, something that you had to learn how to do in order to, like, make friends, or it's like, yo, I got to protect myself, utilize things. You feel me? I definitely appreciate that. Also, shout out to my family. We inspire people all over the world and all over the nation. Shout out to my cousin Cheryl Underwood. You dig what I'm saying? But no, so I actually want to go back to that point, because you said two things about women comedians which were extremely intriguing. You said either they were the butt of the joke, or they were making fun of themselves. So, but either way,
they were either made to be the butt of the joke, or they made themselves the butt of the joke. I don't mind making fun of myself, as like, if it's something that I don't, I'm honest with myself. Like, if you can't keep it real with yourself, you already losing. But I can point out my flaw without making myself the laughing stock. Like it's never, I don't care for that, because sometimes I feel like it's done at the expense of a self-esteem issue, or a trauma response. So let me get in front of it before they point it out. It's kind of sometimes how a lot of comedians begin their career.
Okay. Most definitely. And I want to talk a little bit more on the side of women comedians versus male comedians, because one, I'm not a man. I'm not a woman. And two, you're not a man, right?
Right.
So the experience is a little bit different, and the perception is a bit different.
Very different.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this idea of women not being funny unless, because I had never noticed that, unless they are either the butt of the joke or they are engaging in some sort of self-deprecation. Like, talk to
Right.
me a little bit more about that. How did you recognize that?
Um, I noticed that sometimes when like I said, some female comedians, it's almost like they want to get in front of it before the before the boys club comes in. Let me just point out that yes, my shoulders are big. Let me say it, and then you won't say it, and then we'll all have a laugh. Because if I laugh about it with you guys, it doesn't hurt as much as if you pointed it out and then they're all laughing at. No, it still hurts. It
Mm,
still hurts. Just because you said it first didn't mean it hurt any less. Now, if
mm,
you can word it to where you pointed out your flaws and you made it a decent joke, cool. But a lot of the times, it's literally, let me just get in front of it before you say something. It's how it can come off sometimes.
mm.
And
Most
I
definitely.
think that I think that sometimes when people say that women aren't funny, did you view me in a space to be funny?
Mm,
Or
okay.
did you view me in one of the four pegs that I'm allowed to be in? Mom, girlfriend, partner, such and such. You need something from me. And it's funny, just not one of the orders.
Mm,
It's funny, not a dish that you order from me. I'm not saying women aren't funny. I would be biased in that question because I think women are funny as fuck.
I think
I
women are
would be
fucking
biased.
hilarious.
I think women are hilarious. I think not all women, but I will say I've met quite a few women that their level of delusion is fucking hilarious. What do you mean this bitch ain't funny? What do you mean? She has $40 to her name. And she told you that she only eat at Ruth Chris. This bitch is hilarious, bro. What you mean? She's not funny. She's passing out jokes right now. Women are funny, bro. I met tons of funny women. Now, here's another thing that they say. They say that women aren't funny, and they say that women's jokes, women comedians only talk about one of two things. They hate men or sex.
Hmm. I've heard that as well, right? I was literally like when I watch, because I scroll through and I watch clips on like Facebook, Instagram, and time, and whenever a woman comedian pops up, it's like that's what the comments say. Oh, when are women going to start making jokes about anything other than men and sex? And it's like, but you all don't appreciate humor that women contribute to the landscape of comedy when it's not about one of those two things, right? So, like for
Right.
example, um, one of my favorite comedians, and I can't ever pull her name, but she's a stud. She's a black woman, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she had her own HBO special. I can't never remember her name, but she is hilarious. She's
Does she have an
hilarious.
afro?
Uh, no, it's like a fade almost.
Okay. Because I feel like you're talking. Is it Dominique?
No,
Okay.
no, that's not her name. But
Okay.
it's like I would have to look at because I found her on TikTok and then I followed her on TikTok and then all of a sudden she was popping up on like TV shows and Netflix and I was like, yeah, she gonna blow because she funny as hell,
Right.
right? But it's like her comedy is so observational, but it's observational from an intersectional space, and it is just situationally funny, right?
Right.
And I've watched other comedians who are women who are able to do observational and situational comedy that I feel like a number of men believe that only men should occupy the space of, or they judge women comedians more harshly because the way that women observe and view situations is different from how it is that men do.
Very. And a lot of it, I will say there are sometimes, because I don't like to do, I don't want to generalize, but there are a lot of the times that sometimes I think that some people don't think that women are funny because you didn't like what I said because it hit home for you. You didn't like it. You didn't like it. You cannot like what a man said and you take it as that man feels that way about that item. But when I say she's talking about everybody, like, why are you upset? Because I'm giving you my experience.
What they say to women, y'all can't take a joke.
Oh, now we can't take jokes. Right. That's what it seems like sometimes.
Now all of a sudden the shit not funny no more.
I will say something that I've had happen to me frequently that I've never seen them do to the male counterpart. Well, you don't think that how does this affect you being a mom? You'll never ask them men how it affect them being a fucking daddy. You'll never ask that man when he's finna go home and check on his kids. Why you asking me about my kids? My kids are good. I got my kids straight before I came in here and told you these jokes. My kids are amazing, bro. Did you ask that man that came in front of me, you don't want to check on your kids. You don't want to focus on being a dad. You don't want to be a dad. You didn't do that to him. Why'd you do it to me? I can come to a show. So I'm an outfit girl. That's just who I'm, an outfit girl. Normally when I do shows, I'm dressed up because I'm at work. I'm dressed up. I wore a sweatshirt one time to like an odd event. It wasn't even an event. It was just like a meet and greet. It wasn't even a big deal. It was a friendly thing. Do you know I was like chastised. Because they was like, what are you, this is not your normal thing. What's going on? Meanwhile, them dudes over there dressed like they about to, them dudes dressed over there like they about to shoot dice. We shooting dice at the liquor house, baby. Nobody said anything. One dude didn't even have a shirt on. Oh, boy had a straight beater on. Straight beater. Nobody said anything to me, but you over here talking to me about my sweatshirt? You mean my clean-ass sweatshirt? It's clean. Well, I'm just so used to you being...
Bro had a beater on.
Boy had a beater on, or they're telling jokes with the beater on, and the OJ the Juice Man, like he was about to shoot, like, hey, I'm telling you, it gave circa 2008. Okay. Trap rap, baby, like, but you said something to me because I'm just so used to you being, but I was still presentable. I looked great. Like I wasn't glammed up, but I was still presentable, professional, but you felt owed something more. Something more. Which is crazy.
I think that, and see, this is the reason why I wanted to have the conversation in this way, because this shit hit different. Because I think, so I'm having a small epiphany. Actually, it's like a medium-sized epiphany. Because when I look at and when I watch women comedians who are not in some way, shape, or form masculine presenting.
They be sharp as full.
Right. That's one, but also two, when I read the comments, it's almost the same thing that you're saying. Well, it is the same thing that you're saying. They're expecting more, right? I need more.
Why she wear that? I don't like those shoes she got on with that. She was funny, but I don't like her braids.
None of this has to do with comedy.
None of it. I've literally had comedians tell me after a show, hey girl, you funny as hell. But you don't think you should just focus on being a wife and a mother? Like, sir, please don't worry about my household. Everyone's smiling at my house. Kids, husband, the dog, the tub, the shower head, everybody's smiling at my house. Don't worry about what's going on at my place. Okay.
And see, in my mind, like, I'm telling you, this conversation is blowing my mind right now because it's like I recognize it because of course we're always going to have dynamics of women being perceived in a particular way. But in my mind, the first thing that I would think is like, yo, everybody in your house must have a fucking ball because you're a hilarious mom. Like that would be the first thing that popped in my mind.
That's not the first thing pops in everybody else's. That's what would pop into a logical person's mind, like a normal person. But somebody who feels the need to want to humble, being a woman in comedy is all about remembering that they will never miss a moment to humble you about what they think the illusion of a woman should be. And I have to constantly remind coworkers that your illusion of a woman has nothing to do with who I am as a woman, because you're my coworker. You're my coworker, and I'm doing fucking better than you. Yes. So don't push your ideas off on me of what you think a woman should be. I just don't know if I would want my wife to be out at this time of the night. Good, because my husband's sitting over there, so he's okay. You didn't know that, did you? There you go, sitting over there. He doesn't mind that I'm out at 11 o'clock. He's with me. Next question, sir. That's what female comedians have to deal with. Nobody asked that man, what you doing out so late, sir? It's a late hour for you to be out. Sir, pay me my money so I can get home to my family.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I in my mind, I would want to believe that in spaces of jest or in spaces where things aren't so serious, you would have the ability to be flexible within your perceptions, because in a lot of ways, to be a comedian, you have to be flexible. You have to be
No, I thought that too, Professor Odie. I also thought that, hey, I'm joining a business of comedy and everything's, lighthearted. We all can take a joke, It's not going to be any issues over here. Shit. Ain't nothing funny over here about this funny money, baby. Ain't nothing funny over here. These people do not want to play fair. They don't want to play fair. Not everybody. Let me not say that, because I met amazing people on the journey of this comedy thing. But what I'm definitely learning is there's a pecking order. And when you're a woman, the pecking order is oh God. It's almost like they have to humble you. They have to. I've had somebody tell me, your set was great, but you did yada, yada, yada wrong. But they didn't tell me anything wrong with the set. It was some personal shit. I just think that your set was super funny. But I would just prefer that when you walked in, come in through the side, because it's a bunch of men sitting right there, and my husband was sitting right there, so just walk around the other way. Girl, don't nobody want your fucking husband.
So then I guess the natural follow-up question would be, like, how do you navigate through these spaces?
I promised I was raised right.
Oh no, it's all good. Listen, if you was inspired by my cousin, that was the reason why I didn't know who my cousin was, for real, until I got older. Because my mama said, yeah, you can't go to. I was like, Ma, how come I can't go meet my cousin? No, baby, you have to be a little bit older.
It's crazy. It's Cheryl Underwood is at the top of my list of people. I remember being a kid watching her on Kind of View and was mesmerized. But yeah, that's the type of stuff you have to deal with as a comedian, as a female comedian. I will say I don't have it as bad as other females do in the game, because I have the comfort of my husband being there a lot of the times. A lot of the times, men energy is very different when they see that I came in with another man. They leave me alone for the most part, But when it's a lot of female comedians that I talked to them and they had to come to stuff by themselves. And you can feel that they're nervous in the room because dudes is weird, bro. Dudes is weird. You owe that girl that money and you trying to offer her, well, how about if I give you? Man, fuck you. Get that girl her money. I was going to get you a room, but if you want, I can book us a room together. Sir, go to hell and give that lady her room, okay? Comedy is funny when you on the stage. It ain't funny when you walk out.
So tell me how you navigate that world. Tell me how GiGi, within herself and within her purview, tell me how she navigated that world. What did you do?
Number one, I come in and I treat comedy like a job. I treat it like a freelance job. I treat it like it's a 9 to 5. I come in before my shift, get my head set up, get it together, speak to my coworkers. Hey guys, how's everything going? Wonderful weather we're having in there, Barbara. Yeah, great. I had a great weekend. Yeah. Sure, great. See you out there. And then I go tell my jokes. And then I shake hands and kiss babies and tell everybody thank you. And then I hightail it out of there and get on back home. Because familiarity sometimes can breed contempt. So I get in there, I tell my jokes, and I say just long enough for you to love me. And then I get the fuck out of there. Stay long enough to be loved. And leave before they hate you.
What would you say are some of your darkest experiences in comedy being a female comedian?
Realizing that just because you look like me and you share my same experiences, you don't give a fuck about me.
Talk more to that. What do you mean?
Just because you look like me, just because you share my experience, just because we have a lot of the same things that have happened to us. You don't want the same for me as I want it for you, because I can't expect me out of you. I also have to remember that moving in this world of comedy, as stated earlier, most comedians became this way from one of 3 reasons: trauma, bully, whatever. With that funny also came a dark side. That baggage of comedy and you're funny, it also comes with baggage of experiences and nightmares. And sometimes most of the comedians are just funny, damaged people. So I can't talk to you logically because you're a nutcase. You're insane.
Okay.
And you have to work through whatever it is that you dealt with, that you've learned to make funny, and you're just a horrible person outside of the stage. And people have allowed you to be horrible because you're funny. Just like the pretty girl. She's been able to be mean to everybody because people want to sleep with her. So she didn't need to be nice because there's no consequences to her being mean because people want to fuck her. So she can be mean to everybody because what's the consequence? There isn't anyone. There isn't any consequences because she's pretty. And somebody will pick up the tab of the pretty for her. So she gets to be as mean as she wants.
Somebody will pick up the tab for a charismatic man because he can make people laugh.
Right. That man that is standing in that mirror and we know he ain't shit is some woman that is still drunk off the love of his face. And she'll do anything for that man just because he's nice looking. And she thinks in her head, I'm never going to get anything better than him. So I'll put up with whatever crap he comes with. Some comedians are like that. You're super, super funny. And you bring in a crowd. And I'll put up with whatever crap that you come with because you're profitable. And I think sometimes when we don't, as a community, And when we don't check people's bad behavior at the gate before they get to where they gotta go, then it only highlights how awful they are when they get to be who they want it to be. Money doesn't change you. Money makes you who you really were to begin with. So if you were a shitty person broke, I can only imagine how horrible you'll be when you get money. It's I will say I've met a lot of amazing people in this comedy world. I met a lot of amazing people, and I've also met a lot of not so amazing people. But my good experiences definitely outweigh the hiccups that I've had along the way. I will first and foremost say that. I feel like life is a lot of times about the experiences that you encounter along the journey, and sometimes your mind frame is what has to change before your outlook does.
I agree 1000%. And I believe that in a lot of ways comedy can be transformative if you allow it to heal you. I believe that there are a number of comedians who get stuck in the trauma response cycle, where I have to continue to cause myself trauma in order to have like content or material.
Right. You keep cutting your wrist every day with jokes. You keep reliving something that happened to you as a child, and instead of fixing it, you keep stabbing at it because it's making you money. And instead of fixing it and actually talking about your journey of fixing it, sometimes being the victim is it's better for you. Because if I heal it, then I have to realize that there was something else there too. It's like why some people don't go to the doctor. If I don't go, you can't tell me anything's wrong. So if I don't go, then I'm healthy.
So if people keep laughing, it must be something that's funny. But if people stop laughing and allow me to actually run into it, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Because I've always found it very intriguing. So, because they'll say, oh, all women talk about is sex and hating men. But a number of black male comedians, all we talk about is how it is that we, when I say we, I mean black men, not black comedians. Because I'm not a comedian. But how it is that we done cheated on a bunch of women, how it is that we done got our ass beat throughout our whole lives, and how it is that, you know what I'm saying, we making fun of like the people around us in their misfortune. Right.
We're literally having a struggle Olympics race with jokes. We're trying to out-struggle each other. This is what it seems like a lot of the times with our roast sessions. And I get that that's a part of the diaspora across the board. Each black culture, no matter what continent you come from, we all have some form of roasting or jonesing each other. I get it. But I think a lot of the times we either do one of two things. We're trying to out-struggle the next person and be like, oh, well, I put sugar water in my cereal. Oh, well, I didn't have no water. Or we're trying to outshine each other while being the midst of poverty. And when I say poverty, I don't mean just money. You can be in the midst of poverty as far as an income. You can be in the midst of poverty as far as emotionally bankrupt. You can be in the midst of poverty in the middle of being morally bankrupt. And you're doing your best to, it's like you're trying to put down the next person so they don't focus on, well, my laces is fucked up. So if I go ahead and be like, what are those? Then you won't look over here and see that my kids ain't really kids. They're knockoffs.
Once again, going back to that trauma, going back to that deflection from me and back onto the people around me so that I do not feel as harmed or I do not feel as vulnerable.
Yeah. I think that sometimes it stems from And again, I'm no psychologist, I'm no psychiatrist, sociologist. I'm just, I just see people, and I go off what I see and the different groups of people that I've been around. And it's almost like it's just almost like we're in a race to deflect on pain, and we just do it in so many different ways. If it's not about the clothes, it's about your hair, it's about your it's just a million different things that we constantly pick each other apart about. And it's and we're all battling the same struggles. Okay, you giving him a hard time about his shoes. Yes, I get it. His shoes might be messed up, but your aunt had to buy your shoes because your mama didn't have the money to make it work, and your aunt brought it over there on the load and told you, hey, listen, take this. Your mama didn't have it, no big deal. Just you didn't tell that story about your shoes while you're sitting there making fun of him, who he didn't have that on, that could come in and kind of fix it. His mama don't go with the dope boy that can buy him all the J's. You know what I mean? Like,
I was on a podcast yesterday. Shout out to Isha Hardell podcast. And I was talking to Learn Lionel. I was talking to him throughout the night because they were there. And I was talking to Lionel, and we were talking about, because he asked me, he was like, in the Black podcast space, like, what do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel about the Black podcast space overall? And I said, bro, it's just like any other space with Black people. It's like we prioritize one type of entertainment over the other. And he was like, he said that, is it entertainment or is it mess? And I said, for us, mess is entertaining.
Right. But I think mess is entertaining for everybody. I think mess is entertaining for everybody. I think a lot of the times that we as Black people, sometimes we have things that happen to us that happens to everybody else, but for some reason the world just always seems like, well, only Black people. And it puts a level of pressure on us sometimes that's like undeserved. Undeserved. Black people don't know how to work together. All they do is tear each other down. Last time I checked, every war we've had has been people tearing each other down. Why are y'all limiting that to just Black people? Like, have Black people had all of the wars on the planet Earth? No. So people have been destroying each other. Quit trying to make it seem like Black people are this monolithic, aggressive, violent society, and that all we know is gossip, anger, horny, and that. I feel like that's what they do a lot of the times. And I think that sometimes that was a random rant that I went on. I think one problem that we have in our Black community is that we aren't allowed a range of emotions. And that's my observation that I've made. I don't have any facts to back this up other than just what I've seen in the world. Black children aren't afforded a range of emotions. And again, let me say this one more time. I don't have a degree in any of this, okay? I'm just giving you experience from what I've had to deal with and what I've seen from others. I don't think Black children are afforded the range of emotions that sometimes our counterparts are, because Black children are told early in life which emotions are not okay. You learn early which ones are not okay. But you don't get to learn which ones are okay. I'm a firm believer in not knowing what you want is just as important as knowing what you want. So telling me, no, these feelings aren't okay, but not giving me full range of emotions to know, well, how many more emotions are there? Black children are only allowed to be horny, happy, or angry. You can be horny because we super freaks. Super freaks. Hey, buck breaking over there, baby. You see that? Hey, we can be horny. We can be happy. Mighty fine weather we're having today, boss. Ain't it? Sure is. You can be Mr. Bojangles happy. Or you can be angry. Because they need that black rage. Black rage is a marketing tactic now. So you can be happy. You can be happy, horny, or angry. Those are the range of emotions that seem to be okay. Everything else, fuck out of here. Take it off the menu. Sad? What you sad for? You don't get to be sad? No. You don't get to be sad. We don't do that here. Depressed? Sacre bleu. Black people aren't depressed. Well, why wouldn't we be? I can give you 400 years of documented things that have happened that would say maybe a few of us might be a little sad. But that's not an option. You can be horny, happy, helpful. You can be helpful. Hold that door. Let me get the door for you there, sir. You can be horny, happy, helpful, or hateful. The 4 H's. Nothing else. You don't get to be sad. You don't get to be depressed. You don't get to be melancholy. You don't get to be anxious. Those aren't feelings that are generally attached to us. Mm-hmm. That's why Black parents are telling their kids that go in there and depress them damn dishes. That boy can barely pull himself out the bed. And you telling him to go in there and depress them damn dishes. That boy told you, Mom, I think I'm depressed. Go in there and depress them damn dishes and clean them up. Then your ass will feel better. It's not taken seriously with it.
And then when we put it on platforms, we take it as a joke.
Right. Because we laugh at our pain because it's just easier that way. Because nobody's going to take it serious. So the correct response is, let's just laugh about it because, and that breaks my heart. That is not only me becoming a comedian was a defense mechanism. It brings me joy to make people laugh, especially my community. Because we have so much that's not funny. So if you come see me for 2 hours or, an hour and 30 minutes, and I could make you forget for an hour, 90 minutes, that your whole life is shit. I'm happy. Like, I feel like that's my way to give back. Is that I got to chop it up with my people. And I made you laugh for 90 minutes. So for 90 minutes, you felt like you was with your cousin. And you didn't worry about the fact that your light's about to get cut off. You didn't worry about the fact of you raising these kids by yourself. So what? How it happened? Nobody cares. We don't care how it happened, but you're doing it by yourself. If you can forget about that just for a few minutes with me, I felt like I did my part.
GiGi, that's beautiful. Not even gonna lie to you.
That's real. It's honest because, like, I've been around people who, like, I grew up with and, like, they was battling issues for whatever reason. And, like, just knowing that when they see me and they tell me, hey, I was going through da-da-da-da-da, and, like, I used to be so happy seeing you come in, yada, yada, yada. That makes me feel good. That I was able to bring you out of something just for a few minutes. And you never told me. You never told me what you were going through. You never shared that with me. But you come to me later and say, hey, I appreciate that. You don't know how them interactions that we had in the lunchroom, what it meant to me. You don't know that you shooting the shit with me at the gas station on Tuesdays and Thursdays meant something to me. To me, that makes it worthwhile. That's enough to keep Keisha from going up there to that job saying fuck them people. Then she got to laugh for a little bit and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna go in there and knock it out. That was enough. Her sitting in the car watching my video for a minute was enough to make her laugh and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna let it go. Cause she had me messed up back there. and I done got a laugh off my heart. I'ma let her live today. That's enough. That's enough. That black dude who he used to sell dope back in the day, he went to jail and he got out and now he done changed his life around. And now I'm making jokes about the box Chevy that he used to have one like that back in 2008. He had a matching race car jacket and everything. He laughed at that joke because he related to it. No, I didn't make him feel bad about his prison sentence. No, I didn't make him feel bad about his choices. But I made him feel seen. That's all he wanted, was to feel seen. He felt seen when he was the dope boy because he had money and everybody idolized him. And then when he went to prison and he got out and he became a regular, smegular, degular man, nobody cared about him anymore. But he felt seen that day when he came to my comedy show because I brought up a life that he didn't glorify it, but that was a part of his life. It mattered to him, not because of what he was doing, because he felt seen. I made him feel seen just for 10 more minutes. That's okay to me. I'm sorry. I'm being a chatty patty. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. I love that. I love that because the title of this episode is called "Jokes on You," right? And I think a lot of people don't recognize that comedy is more complex than it is presented, right? It is something that has nuance. It is something that has layers. It is something that requires sometimes pain to be transmuted in order to make it laughable for you so that you can digest it, right? I am the spoonful of sugar that makes your medicine go down, but that's because I had to take it without that spoonful. You dig what I'm saying? So, Miss GiGi, tell the people where to find you at. Tell the people where to follow you at, because we got to get up out of here.
Okay. So you can find me on TikTok, Facebook, because you know I'm a woman of a particular age. I'm in my 40s. I still got a Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, IG, Twitter. It's GiGi LeFlaire. It's spelled just like it is on the screen. There's an underscore between GiGi and LeFlaire. If you guys happen to be in the Dallas area this Sunday, I'll be at Hyenas. And on 4/20, I'll be at the Uptown Comedy Corner in Atlanta with Ronnie Jordan. So please come check me out. And Professor Odie, I'm so grateful for you just allowed me to sharing your space, share your platform with me. And like, that means a lot because, you know, your name holds weight out here in these TikTok streets. So for you to just let me come on here, it means a lot, man. It really does.
Miss GiGi, I definitely appreciate that because, you know, sometimes I feel like you know, the weight wavers, but at the same time, another same token, I appreciate you coming and I appreciate you sharing with us what it is and how it is that you have experienced the world through your eyes and your gift and how it is that brings peace, love, and soul to people. But good people, great people, guys, people. Thank y'all for joining me for another episode of The Antidote with Miss GiGi LeFlaire. Hope that y'all catch me on the next episode, man. We, like I said, we running with a bunch of heavy hitters out here, man. So once again, thank y'all for joining me for another episode. Peace, love, soul, and butter rolls. I'll see y'all next time.